is going on, everybody? Hitmonchan here back again with another Pokemon trading card game video. Today we're gonna do a set review of the Silver Tempest set that is releasing in a few days, and we're gonna try and determine what cards are the best cards from within the set. So I'm not gonna waste any time. We're gonna hop right into the set review right now and just go on ahead. So I'm only gonna be covering the cards that I think are good, or like have a niche, or are like potentially usable even for Gym Leader Challenge. If you don't know anything about the Gym Leader Challenge format, that's okay. I'm gonna do a video about it in the near future, but basically Gym Leader Challenge is a singleton format, so you can only play one of each card and you have to stay to a specific type. So all your Pokemon have to be grass, or they all have to be fire, or something like that. Very, very fun format, but we're just gonna hop right into it right now. Like, see, Venonat, Venomoth, they're not really that powerful. Like, they don't really have a use. But Ariados, for example, has the String of Shade ability. As long as Pokemon isn't played, the attacks of your opponent's V-Star cost colorless more. Now, this card could be pretty good. I mean, very, very temporarily, as V-Stars, you know, might kind of become a little bit less good when EX Pokemon come out early next year. But Ariados could find its niche in some sort of control or stall deck. Maybe you put it in like Durant Mill, for example, to stop your opponent from taking knockouts as quickly, because it can really mess up some game plans of some decks. Like Palkia can kind of mess up. It could also kind of mess up Giratina a little bit, because you need 4 energy to attack, which is quite a bit. The thing is getting this thing into play. It's stage 1, so they can just boss KO that Spinarak. And it also is a little bit tough because it has 90 HP, which means that it's able to get targeted by Radiant Greninja. So we're not sure how good Ariados is going to be, but the ability is cool nonetheless. Sunflora is a really cool Pokemon. I think it's actually a pretty decent, it can be a decent single prize deck. I mean, kind of meme-ish, but it can be really, really cool paired with the Gossifleur that can search for energy. Like, you get 2 energy and put it into your hand, and you can just Brilliant Beam and do a bunch of damage. I think it maxes out at 220 and doing 250 with a Choice Belt, you know, doing 280 with a Leon. So you can take big knockouts with this Sunflora. It's absolutely possible to do that. You're just gonna have to wait and see what people build it. I'm gonna make a deck on this card for sure. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun to play. Next up, Superior V and V-Star. Superior V, nothing really notable about this card. I'm just gonna kind of skip right over it. But Superior V-Star, very, very cool. I actually really like the direction this card is going. I think it's potentially, like, I think it's going to be playable at the very least, but it could potentially be good as well. We don't really have any good grass type decks at the moment, so Superior V-Star could fill that void. It has the Royal Tornado attack for 190 damage. You can move any amount of energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like, and you might be thinking, well, isn't that kind of not good? Like, don't you want to move, don't you want to keep your energy on your Superior so you can keep attacking? Well, actually, that's not always the case, because sometimes you want to move your energy off of a Pokemon so you can heal it. And that's exactly how I want to build Superior V-Star eventually, because you can move your energy off of it, Cheryl, and because it has free retreat costs, you can retreat and go into the other Superior and just kind of loop that combo over and over and over. So I think like Superior V-Star has the potential to be very, very strong. And you can also use Gardenia's Vigor to power it up, because Superior has a free retreat. Superior V-Star's got a 1 retreat, which isn't too bad. But Superior V has 1 retreat. Superior V-Star has free retreat, so you can pretty much loop this combo over and over, and it makes it very easy. And its V-Star Power Coiling Star is actually pretty decent as well. It's a 60 for each energy attached to this Pokemon, and you switch it to the benched after, so you can switch it with like a Diancie or something to make sure that that Pokemon doesn't get hit into. And think about the amount of damage you're gonna be doing. If you have 4 energy on your Superior, you're gonna be doing 240, 5 energy is 300, which really isn't hard when you're able to move all your energy around with Royal Tornado, and it's not even hard with thanks to Gardenia's Vigor. So I think this card overall could be pretty cool. It could be pretty powerful when played the right way. There's some other cards in this set that will combo very nicely with Superior V-Star that we'll get into in a little bit. But I think this card, you know, solid maybe 6 out of 10 card. Like, you can probably do some really cool stuff with it. Petlil, Suilligant, not fantastic. Its Overflowing Aroma is pretty cool for a free attack. You search for 2 grass energy, attachment to your bench Pokemon in any way you like, but it is a evolved Pokemon and it has a 1 retreat cost, so it's really not fantastic. Amoonguss, awesome ability, but way too specific to actually be used. Prank Spore says whenever this card is discarded from your hand by the effects of your opponent's attacks or abilities or item cards or supporter cards, you discard all cards from your opponent's hand, but we really don't have any cards that discard like cards from the hand right now. Like, there's really just not a lot of those. So this could become better in the future if we have a sort of disruption type deck that starts running around and discarding cards from the hand. But it has to specifically be this Amoonguss. So it's a really cool ability. I just don't think it's very good right now. This Thorent is not very good. Virizion is going to be pretty interesting, I think, because it has a whole kind of little combo going on with Cobalion, Terrakion, and Keldeo. And this attack is 4 as 1, which reads, if you have all of the other ones, Cobalion, Terrakion, and Keldeo on your bench, you can do 70 more damage. So for a single attachment on a basic Pokemon, not too bad. If that ends up becoming its own little archetype, we'll have to wait and see. But for now, pretty decent card. Chestnut V. I love Chestnut as a Pokemon. Like, I think it's such a cool Pokemon. The V card is not great, but I think it's actually really interesting. Spiky Striker, its ability is, as long as Pokemon is in play, whenever your active Chestnut V is damaged by an attack, put 3 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. Now, you can stack 4 Chestnut V and do 120 damage, like 12 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon if you get hit into, which I think is really, really cool. You can combine this with like Kricketune and Cape of Toughness, so your Kricketune, what's it called? It'll give you 40 more HP. Cape of Toughness gives you 50 more HP, so you can get like the VMAX HP numbers on a basic, and you're dealing a bunch of damage back. I think it could be kind of cool to see. It won't really see any competitive play, but it's a cool little meme and maybe online deck I'm absolutely going to build. And its attack touchdown it's okay. I mean, it's not great. If they had it do a little bit more damage, it would be good. If you could do 160 heal 30, you'd be in 2-shot range. But 130 heal 30, you can't even 2-shot VMAXs with no damage mods. Not VMAXs, sorry, V-Stars. So overall, a very, very bland card, but it has some potential to be pretty interesting. Now, Radiant Serena is the card that I was talking about. Could be comboed with Superior V-Star. It has the Elegant Treatment ability, which reads, once in your turn, you can heal 20 damage from each of your Pokemon. Now, this card is really cool because Radiant Pokemon, as of now, are Scoop Up nettable. So you can Scoop Up, use this ability, Scoop Up, use it again, and you can heal a bunch of damage from all your Pokemon. So I think that's a really, really powerful, card. It will see some play in some decks that want you to heal rather than reduce, like comparing it to Radiant Gardevoir. But I think it'll be pretty good in some healing decks. That's probably what you're gonna run in Superior. Maybe you'll run Gardevoir, depends how you build it, who knows. Now this Ninetales isn't great for Standard, but for GLC I kind of see this card and I start thinking a little bit, because 120 for 2 energy is actually pretty good, but it's on a stage 1, which is also pretty good. The only issue is it has 110 HP, so it's a little bit on the weaker side in terms of health. But this could be interesting in GLC. You could just do a quick 120. 120 is usually, like 120, 130 is your magic number most of the time. So you can do 120 and just hit something really fast for just 2 energy. So that could be interesting. This Arcanine as well is pretty cool. I don't think it's going to be very good though. Fighting Tackle does 100 plus 100 more if your active Pokemon is a V, but it's Fire, Colorless, not Fire, Colorless. If it's Fire, Colorless, you could actually do quite a bit of damage to like a weak base V or like a support base V, for example. So that's Arcanine, not very good. Ponyta is just a hurdle to get to Rapidash, but Rapidash I think is super underrated right now, and I'm going to talk a little bit about this card because I really, really like it. So Rapidash has the ability Heat Boost, and it's like Volcanion EX. You can discard a fire energy from your hand, and until the end of your turn, your fire Pokemon do 30 more damage to your opponent's active. So this card I think is going to be really good as time goes on when we get a more popular fire attacker, because like our best fire attackers right now are like Radiant Charizard, which you put a choice belt on it and you don't really need to use this, which I mean you could make a Radiant Charizard deck with Rapidash, like that's very possible. We have what's it called? Entei V, which is like Suicune V and Raikou V with the same attack, same ability, but it has a little bit more HP and a bit of a higher retreat cost. But this Rapidash could actually make that card pretty strong. Like, I'm interested in building this deck with Rapidash. I think it could be pretty interesting. I mean, Palkia is good, right? So Palkia is basically the same kind of attack, and it does more damage, and it hits fire for weakness, so it's not like you're going to want to play Entei over Palkia. But if Palkia stays as popular as it is and people are countering it for the weakness, you can maybe play this deck instead, and it gives you the same kind of game plan as Palkia, but you're actually able to do more damage if you got a bunch of Rapidash in play. You can accelerate easily with Magma Basin. You can put a Cape of Toughness on your Entei to make it a bit more bulky. Heat Fire Energy as well. So this card could be cool in combination, but it'll get better as time goes on when we get some good Fire EX Pokemon. Victini, nothing great. Could be decent in GLC, which with Assist Flame, you can do 20 and attach 2 fire from your discard to your Pokemon, but I don't really think that that's going to see any play. Reshiram V, unfortunately not very good, as much as I actually like the art on this card a lot. I think this card is actually pretty cool. Gleaming Wings is pretty decent. You can search for 2 basic energy attached to one of your Pokemon, but then White Blaze is just very mediocre attack, 200 for 3, and you might not even attack next turn. Not great. Fennekin breaks in Delphox. Fennekin isn't anything to run or write home about, I should say, but the breaks is pretty cool with the Flare Parade attack. You can do 60 times the amount of Serena in your discard pile. If you have 4 Serena in your discard pile, you're going to be doing 240. Add a Choice Belt, that's 270. Add a Zigzagoon Ping, that's 280. It's the magic number there. The only thing that holds this back is, you know, you get a Serena prized. Kind of unfortunate, but the Delphox 2 is pretty cool because you can do Energy Crush as well, and you can do 50 times the amount of all your opponent's energy in play. These attacks tend to be pretty like nichely good, like it's very matchup dependent, but we have a lot of decks that like having energy in play right now. For example, Arceus likes having energy in play. Like on a single Arceus, you're gonna have 3 energy. If you're playing Arceus Giratina, there's another 3 energy on the board. If you're playing Arceus Guja, there's another 3 energy on the board. So a lot of decks like having energy. Even Palkia, it's 2 to attack, but they want to power up an Inteleon or power up something else. Even like the Lost Zone engines want to get their Greninja going or their Giratina going on the bench or whatever. So very, very cool card. It'll be interesting. I'm not sure how good it'll be, but it'll absolutely be very, very fun. This Legendary, nothing to write home about. This Talonflame could be pretty interesting in Gym Leader Challenge because you can do a 50 snipe for 1 energy, or you can do 80 plus 80 more if your opponent's Pokemon has any damage counters on it. And there's a lot of ways to put damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon. Just with fire, I don't know if that's like possible, but could be pretty cool. We'll have to see what people come up with. This Incineroar line though, I'm very excited for. I don't think it'll be great, but we have to go through every card individually. This Litten, it has the Reprisal attack, which is 20 times the amount of damage counters on this Pokemon. And now you're probably thinking, well, this Pokemon has 70 HP. At max, you're going to be doing like 120 damage. But you'll see. Gritty Claws on the Torracat here for 2 fire energy does 40, and if this Pokemon would be knocked out, and it's not knocked out, it becomes 10 HP instead. So keep that in mind, because our Incineroar has the secret attack and can use an attack from one of its previous evolutions. So you can use Reprisal for a bunch of damage, or you can use Gritty Claws to survive an attack, or you can even just use Flare Shot for 180 for 2 fire energy. So this card is pretty interesting. I don't think it'll be very good though. Kind of like Serena and Delphox combo area over there. It'll be interesting. I'll probably make a video on it, but I don't think it'll be good. Now, Alolan Vulpix V and V-Star are cards that we have to talk about. Snow White Drop, free attack on the Alolan Vulpix V. It does 60 damage if your opponent's Pokemon is a V. Nice little chip attack if you start the Vulpix and you can't get out of the active and you don't, like, you just get a little bit of damage off. It's okay for that. Other than that, not a very notable card. 190 HP, pretty low. That's like support Pokemon HP territory. But, you know, we got to go into the Alolan Vulpix V-Star and take a look at this, because this is also, I mean, I don't know how good this is going to be. It's got the, well, first of all, it's got 240 HP, which is incredibly low. That is super low HP. I kind of think on a V-Star that an HP really does make or break it. 240 HP is really low. It can kind of just get one-shot by anything. So, I mean, that's one of the things that holds this card back. The next thing, Snow Mirage. For a water and 2 colorless, it's 160. It's not affected by effects on your opponent's active Pokemon, so is it a shred attack? You can go through effects like Miltank, you can go through like Duraludon's Skyscraper ability, that kind of stuff. And it reads, during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this Pokemon from Pokemon with abilities. Now, this is another kind of card that might get better or worse as time goes on if we have a lot of ability Pokemon, but right now we have Path to the Peak, which stops Roblox Pokemon from having abilities. It doesn't stop them from using them, it stops them from having abilities, which is very different wording, because here, this effect only works if the Pokemon has an ability. And Path to the Peak, if you play it down, your Pokemon don't have abilities, so you can just go right through it and just blow up this Vulpix anyway. So Snow Mirage, a little bit of an awkward attack cost. Its damage is a little bit too low. I would have liked to see this be at least like 190. Like if you think about it, the Duraludon VMAX has 220 damage, and it's not affected by effects. So you're doing considerable amount more in terms of damage, but it's also has that shred effect as well. So, you know, take this with what you will. It's going to be interesting to see how this card performs. Silver Snowstar as well could be interesting because it's free, the 70 times the amount of Pokemon V your opponent has in play. So could be okay. I'm not really banking on this card being like meta defining or anything. Could be like a nice anti-meta card, obviously depending on what the meta is. Now we got Almastar V. Almastar V is going to be a cool card for like a fossil meme deck just because of its ancient guidance. Attack, search for 2 cards that evolve from item cards with fossil in their name, put them onto your bench, and shuffle your deck. So, I mean, pretty cool for fossil support, but it's 190 HP 2 prizer that you're leaving in the active. And it has a 1 retreat cost. And it doesn't have a good second attack. Tentacle defense for a water colorless, doing only 110 damage. Only 110. Your opponent's next turn, the defending evolution Pokemon can't attack. So, like, you could make a fossil themed deck around this, but personally, I don't think it'll be good at all. It's good to see a little bit of fossil support, but having this on an attack and not an ability, like if this was an ability that ended your turn, kind of like Intrepid Sword, this card would actually be pretty decent, I'd say, because you can put it down, use the ability, and then get your fossil guys into play, maybe put a Diancie in the active so you don't have to get, what's it called? You can't get bossed, and you're actually in a pretty decent spot. But as an attack, I don't know. It's not even good. Like this card makes me sad. But maybe we'll get better fossil support down the line, and this card could be decent. Next up, there's this Articuno, which I actually do want to talk about for Gym Leader Challenge. Wild Freeze, 70 damage for 2 water. It does 50 damage to itself. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. This would be pretty good if it wasn't on an Articuno, I think, because there's already an Articuno that's kind of just better for Gym Leader Challenge. But this is also cool. Could be cool in standard like single prize decks that want to stall out their opponent. You can use a Wild Freeze, stop your opponent's active Pokemon from attacking because they're paralyzed. Could be good. Now this Wailmer, nothing to write home about, but this Wailord is crazy for Gym Leader Challenge. This Wailord, I personally think this Wailord should be banned in Gym Leader Challenge, because look how cool this is. It has 200 HP, which is a big HP amount. Okay, it has the ability Oversize, which makes it take 30 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. Okay, so that's putting it at 230 HP. Then it has the Special Waves attack for 4 energy, hefty attack cost, but in Gym Leader Challenge you have Frostmoth and Blastoise to power it up. This Pokemon has any special energy attached, does 120 more damage, so you're doing 240 damage if they have special energy. That is a pretty insane attack, if I do say so myself. I think that attack is a little bit broken, I will say. I think that attack is a little bit broken. So this card is going to be really, really powerful in Gym Leader Challenge. I think it should be banned. We have an Ascension Feebas, which will be good for Gym Leader Challenge because there's a good Milotic that lets you knock it out and attach 3 energy to your Pokemon. So an Ascension Feebas is pretty good. This Milotic could be okay, but you're never gonna play it over the other one. It can do a 50 snipe for 1 energy, which is like could be good, but in Gym Leader Challenge, the other Milotic is just simply better. Snorunt is okay. Now, the Glalie and the Frostlass are cool little single prize ideas. Big Mouth for 4 colorless. If you play Candace from your hand this turn, its attack. if you played Candace from your hand during your turn, this attack does 130 more, so you can be doing 260, Choice Belt 290. Pretty cool. The thing is how are you going to power this up? You got to do something like Frostmoth to get this guy going, or 2 double turbos, which decreases your damage quite a bit. So I think this could be like pretty decent because it's on a stage 1. It could be a pretty decent single prize deck, but we'll have to see, you know, what people come up with. And Frostlass as well has the Frost Shield attack. If you played Candace from your hand this turn, it does 90 more and your opponent's active is paralyzed. Now I really like that. I think that's really cool. Like this could be a cool little archetype. I don't think it'll be good, but it could be cool. Relicanth is not good. Fion is okay. In Gym Leader Challenge Water, you could use Beach Party. You could search for 3 basic water Pokemon, put them onto your bench, but you have cards like Beacon and Gather the Crew, which attack for free on the Alolan Vulpix and Hisuian Basculin. Those attack for free, so you gotta think, is it really worth me putting Water Energy on my Fion and using it to put the basic Pokemon, like 3 basic water Pokemon onto your bench? It might be. You know, you might make that decision, so you'll have to see. Maybe you could replace it like Vulpix with this, because it has kind of a better effect than Vulpix, but not better than Gather the Crew, in my opinion. Now this Keldeo is part of that, the Swords of Justice trio I was talking about earlier. 4 as 1 is if you have all of them on your bench, you can do 220 damage, 250 with a belt, 280 with a Leon. Could be pretty decent on a basic Pokemon, but how do you power this guy up is the question. You gotta use like Twin Energy and Water, or like Frostmoth, or like something else. It's got a big retreat cost, not big retreat cost, big attack cost, which is the problem. Dewpider, Aquarinid, nothing good. This Pikachu is part of a little combo with Dedenne and Togedemaru and Morpeko. I really like it. It's going to be cool, but it's not going to be good. Pika Strike, it does 20 damage, but if you use the Dedenne short last turn, this attack does 180 more, so you're going to be doing 200 for 1 energy, but you need to get this combo piece off. And now, this Raichu is actually pretty interesting as well. Has the Ambushing Spark. If your opponent uses their V-Star power during the game, it does 100 more damage. So it does 140 damage. Very good against Palkia. You can just one-shot a Palkia V-Star. This could be good in Zoroark 1, Stage 1 decks. Looking at some of these cards, like Blessed Lantern, you know, 160 for 3 is okay, maybe in GLC, but I don't know. You know, like when you have other cards to accelerate and other cards that do more damage, like Electivire, like this doesn't really help seem very good, right? This Rotom, not fantastic. This Emolga, not great. This Stunfisk could be cool if you haven't played any supporter cards. Or if you have no supporters in your discard pile, you can snipe 100 damage, but it has a pretty big attack cost, so it's like you would never really use this thing at all unless you were like making a deck that didn't have supporters in it, right? Which you could. This Zeraora, also not great. It does 30 for 1, but you can do 30 more if it's an evolution. Not fantastic. Regieleki V. Now we're getting to some pretty substantial cards here. Regieleki V is pretty decent. It has 200 HP, 1 retreat, Switch Ball, 30 for 1 lightning, and you can switch with one of your bench Pokemon. Pretty good. And Lightning Wall is actually pretty interesting for 100 damage and for 3 energy. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 100 less from attack. So you can make like a Stolly Regieleki V deck with like some Regieleki VMAX to help you out. Regieleki VMAX has the Transistor ability, which lets you do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon if your active is a basic Lightning Pokemon. So could be pretty powerful. And then it has the Max Thunder Strike attack, or I think in English it's like Max Thunder and Lightning or something, which you can check out in the top right corner. I did a Regieleki deck profile and Regieleki VMAX versus Regidrago V-Star deck paper TCG battle, so check those out via the cards in the top right of the screen. But yeah, like Regieleki VMAX is going to be pretty cool for cards like Raikou and V, and cards like Vikavolt V. It could be pretty powerful, I will say. And it has free retreat, so like what's not to like about that, you know? Radiant Alakazam could be pretty cool. It has a Spoonful of Pain ability, so you can move 2 damage counters from one Pokemon to another one of them. And it's just really good in decks where you're like doing extra damage. So like in like Arceus or like Giratina, if you're not knocking something out in Giratina for whatever reason, or like Palkia if you're like doing a bunch of damage and next turn you're gonna 2-shot, but you actually like you'd be doing a bunch more, you can use Radiant Alakazam and move those damage counters to a different Pokemon to either knock it out or like get it set up to get KO'd. And it's really also good right now because we have Scoop Up Net, so you can scoop it up, put it back down, scoop it up, put it back down, and keep using its ability over and over, which I think is pretty powerful. This Hypno could be decent in GLC, but I don't really think it's worth it with the psychedelic call attack. This Jinx could be pretty cool. It has the Selfish Ellipse. If it's knocked out from your opponent's Pokemon's Pokemon V's attack, your opponent doesn't take a prize card, and its side damage attack does 10 plus 10 for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So you can slap a double turbo on this or a twin energy and just double up your opponent's Pokemon's damage, essentially. So this could be good in decks that like want to stall out a little bit, but the other thing to consider is like, why not just use Miltank? Because Miltank can't get damaged by V Pokemon unless they have a Shred attack, so like you gotta have that delicate balance, right? So I mean, I think this attack could be good. This could even be good in Miltank in a bit, because Blissey, because Blissey plays Miltanks, and this kind of acts as like a different Miltank that does a lot more damage, because Blissey's damage can get up there, but sometimes it gets hard to KO. So this could be pretty decent in that deck as well. Now, Miscellaneous is pretty cool. I actually really like this card. It has the Grudging Incantation ability. This Pokemon's at max HP and knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack, plays 8 damage counters on the attacking Pokemon. For Standard, not fantastic. For GLC, pretty dang cool. Now, the Ominous Stinging attack for a single Psychic Energy, plays 2 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon. So spread attacks like this, I think this Miscellaneous is going to make like Psychic Spread really strong, because you can also do a heavy spread to the active with the ability and just 2 damage across the board. And even you play, there's a Weezing that does 1 damage counter on each basic Pokemon your opponent has in play between like turns. So couple that with some like special conditions in that, you're going to be doing a lot of chip damage, and you can take a lot of knockouts. So I'm really looking forward to this card coming out. We have Unknown V coming out. I'm happy Unknown got a ultra rare card, but Unknown V is pretty funny. Victory symbol for 3 colorless. If you have 1 prize card left, you win, which is just hilarious. Could be decent, like you can use double turbo plus a Melanie to get this into play, and boom, take that last prize card if you need to. If you can't do it with an attack for whatever reason. So this could be decent in some decks. Unknown V-Star, really cool idea. Don't think it's very good. It has the Tri-Power for 1 Psychic. You can do 70 times the number of heads you flip, and you flip 3 coins. So it's like, not great. I mean, you can take a knockout on a V-Star or a V-Max, but like, is it really worth flipping 3 heads? I don't think so. And 250 HP too is kind of it's kind of on the low side. Star Cipher is a pretty cool ability though. It reads, until this Pokemon leaves play, gains an ability that has the effect all your opponent's Pokemon's weakness is now Psychic. So you can just use this. But the problem is, it faces a very similar problem to Aerodactyl V-Star's ability, which is, or not even ability, attack, which makes it an ability, but like this one has a high attack cost for it not being very powerful. Aerodactyls at least had a 1 attack cost, but like the Pokemon gets stuck in the active, doesn't have a lot of HP, and it can't get knocked, and it can very easily get knocked out. So it's like a waste of a V-Star power in my mind. So Unknown is pretty cool, like gimmick, but not very good. Now, Kirlia and Gardevoir and Ralts, very interesting. This Kirlia is going to be amazing for Gym Leader Challenge. Like, first off, this Kirlia is going to be fantastic. It has Trade, which is, in this card it's called Refine, but it has Trade, which reads, you can discard a card from your hand, draw 2 cards. Very, very good in GLC. Also very good in GLC and Standard is this Gardevoir, which has the same ability. Now, the reason why these cards I think are good in Standard right now is because you can scoop up net them. So you can go like Kirlia, Refine, Gardevoir, Refine. That's 4 cards that you draw, scoop it up, put it back down, and then reuse that. You can kind of use it like an Inteleon engine just to draw cards. I'm actually making a new deck right now that uses these cards as the engine, so it's going to be pretty interesting. You have to stay tuned for that on the Hitmonchan channel, but we're just going to keep moving on. These are really cool cards. I really do like them. Now we have Mawile V, nothing to write home about. Mawile V-Star, pretty interesting, but not great. The Sudden Eater for 2 colorless energy reads that if this Pokemon moved from your bench and then to the active spot, you can do 90 more. So you can be doing 180 if you move from the bench to the active spot, which is like low. It's pretty low, but if you target down like a V Pokemon or something, like basic Vs, you put a Choice Belt, you can do quite a bit of damage, so it could be worth it. And then the Star Rondo ability is basically a Guzma. It's like you switch, you can use it only if Mawile is on your bench, but you switch Mawile into the active and you bring one of your opponent's Pokemon into the active. So hopefully you can just do a little Guzma and then just destroy something really quick. So hey, it's pretty decent, like not great. 260 HP, not great for a V-Star, but you know, could see some like niche rogue play here or there. This meta type could be cool if there's a good Psychic Medicham for GLC. I don't know if there is, but it's got Yoga Guard, so you can prevent all damage to this Pokemon by attacks as long as it's on the bench. And then Medicham, it's decent. Like, it's not great. If you have 4 cards in hand, this Pokemon's attack costs 3 colorless less, and its attack for 3 colorless is 80, and if your opponent has a VMAX in play, 90 more. So you're going to be doing 170 damage to a VMAX. If there's ever a relevant fighting type VMAX, like if the Urshifu's ever become relevant again, you can play this card, I guess. But it won't, they won't, so not very good. Chimecho, happy we got another Chimecho card. I love this Pokemon, but not very good. Dreamy Tone is kind of cool. It's like if they attach an energy that to the defending Pokemon, that Pokemon will be asleep, which is pretty interesting, but don't really think it's good. This Sigilyph, I think, is going to be fantastic for a couple months until EX Pokemon come out. Because if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon V, you can search for 5 basic Pokemon and put them on your bench. If it's not a V, you search for 1 and put it on your bench. So if you start this Sigilyph, it could be really, really cool, and it's for colorless energy. So, I mean, it's alright. It could be good for a bit, and then it'll be bad. This Nicholas line, not very good. It has a persistent cells ability. If it's knocked out, it goes back into your hand instead of the discard. Could be decent in GLC. Like, GLC Psychic Spread, this could be another card that you want to use in that deck. Because you can do 60 and then do 3 damage and 3 damage on your opponent's Pokemon. And even if you have that like Dusknoir that moves damage counters around, so you can like take some pretty cheeky knockouts, I think. I'm gonna build a Psychic GLC spread and see how it does, but I mean, you could use that in there. Everything here, this Beheeyem, pretty okay. Does 60 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, but you can also apply weakness and resistance for those bench Pokemon, so that's pretty cool, but nothing to write home about. This Meowstic, very good in Psychic GLC, because you can use Beckoning Ears to, when you evolve it, search for 2 supporters, put them into your hand. Very good in Psychic GLC, very good in Standard as well. This could be decent. Even though we have Lumineon, this is a single prizer that can be searched with Level Ball, which is important because we have Quick Ball rotating. So, pretty decent card. Swirlix, Slurpuff, nothing. Dedenne is part of that little combo. It has the Dedenne short, which leaves the opponent's Pokemon paralyzed if Togedemaru attacked last turn. Indeedee with Smart Service could also be good in Gym Leader Challenge. You can search your deck for 1 card, put it into your hand if you go first, and use this attack during your first turn. This Dragapult line, funny, not gonna be good though. Dragon Launcher, you can discard any number of your bench Dreepy up to a number of your opponent's Pokemon in play, and then do 100 to each Pokemon. So it's like really cool idea, but I don't think it'll ever see play. Hisuian Arcanine V, pretty cool card. I actually really like this card. But I don't think it'll be good. It has the Irresistible Force ability, which reads as often as you like. You can move a fighting energy from your Pokemon to this Pokemon, and its attack, Rock Bullet, does 90 plus 30 for each fighting energy on this Pokemon. It's tanky. It's got 230 HP, so you can put a Cape Toughness on this, be it 280 HP. And I mean, you can use Stone Energy to make it more bulky, and kind of just hope that you can like heal plus do enough damage to take knockouts. I mean, it could be a decent little meme. I will make this for sure. Like, I will be making this because I think it's so cool, but I don't think it'll be good at all. Phanpy and Donphan. This Donphan's interesting for pre-releases. If you're playing it in a pre-release, you can do Overspin for 110, unless it evolved this turn, in which case you can use that attack. So yeah, this Donphan's not good, but it's interesting. This Claydol, also not good, but interesting. You can, with Mystery Charge, the ability, search, or if you have no supporters in the discard pile, catch a fighting energy from your discard to one of your Pokemon. It's just like a worse Dynamotor for fighting Pokemon, and fighting Pokemon don't really have good energy acceleration. Like, there's Gutsy Pickaxe right now, which is a good card, but you need to combine it with like deck stacking, like Rotom Phone or Oranguru, and those cards are rotating soon, so it's like, that card's not going to be great for much longer, and there's no good fighting attackers right now. So it's like, the whole fighting type in standards is just a mixed bag of like decent and not great. But Mystery Charge could be interesting if you play it with like Grant, for example. You play it with Grant, you can put Grant back into your hand, like do Mystery Charge, and then play the fighting type, like play Grant and do more damage. Like, could be interesting. I don't think it will be anything fantastic. Now, Anorith and Armaldo I'm going to chat about for a bit. Fossil Toss. 30 plus 120 more, you can discard an unidentified fossil from your hand. Very funny meme in that like Amistar fossil deck I was talking about. And Armaldo, also pretty cool. Reaper Claw. If your opponent's Pokemon has 100 or less HP remaining, it's just straight knocked out. What's not to love about that, right? Like, that's just so funny. What's not to love about that? Yeah, not good, but pretty funny in a fossil deck. Now, this Terrakion could be interesting for GLC. It has the Cavern Tackle attack. Prevent all damage done to this Pokemon during your opponent's next turn. Interesting for GLC and also standard with that little quartet, what's it called? The Swords of Justice quartet like deck idea. But you can do 130 and you can't get damage next turn. And if you can't use this attack, if any of your Pokemon used Cavern Tackle during your last turn, so you can't like spam this attack, like even with Scoop Up Nets or anything, which is unfortunate. It's 120 damage. You know, it's okay. Could be pretty cool though. Like just to wall out, could be interesting even in GLC for fighting types. These cards aren't great. Sandpit Tomb is pretty cool because you can do 30 to each of your opponent's Pokemon. Nice little spread for fighting. Nothing great. This Stone Journer does 130 more if you haven't played supporters, like you have none in your discard. It's okay. Ursaluna V is pretty cool. I actually really like it. It takes 30 less. That's the ability. It's got the Hard Coat ability. And Peach Shoulder is 220 minus 10 for each like damage counter on this Pokemon. So you have 5 damage counters on your Ursaluna, you're doing 50 less damage. But if you play really tanky with like Stone Fighting Energy and like other cards that reduce the damage, like Radiant Gardevoir for example, and you're already taking 30 less from Hard Coat, so you can potentially take like hundreds of less damage, then heal it with like Hyper Potions and stuff and do 220 like consistently. So you could kind of compare this to like Stone Journer, but Stone Journer is rotating and this card could be pretty funny. Now, this Crobat is also pretty funny. It has the critical bite attack for 3 colorless. You can do 30 to one of your opponent's Pokemon, and if you knocked it out, take 2 prizes. Very interesting for GLC. This Honchkrow, not very good. This Skunk Tank is super cool. I love this card. It reads with Hoping Bomb. You can do 30 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. But if that Pokemon retreated during your opponent's last turn, does 120 damage instead. So you can snipe 120 if that Pokemon retreated. That's the specific thing. It has to retreat out of the active. It can't go out of the active from a switcher and escape it, but has to retreat, which is the only caveat. If it said if that Pokemon moved from the active to the bench, this attack would be a lot better because you can just snipe something down. But overall, pretty cool, and I'm looking forward to this alt art. I'll show in a little bit. Toxstroke, nothing. Like this Crocodile is kind of interesting, but not very good. Could be decent in GLC actually. When you play this hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, when it's your active Pokemon and knocked out. Okay, wait, the wording is a little bit complicated. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, and when this Pokemon is your active Pokemon and knocked out from your opponent's attack, you may discard a random card from your opponent's hand. So you can evolve it, discard a card from your opponent's hand. Then when it's knocked out, discard a card from your opponent's hand. Could be cool in GLC because you're doing 160 for 3, which is pretty decent numbers, even though you're doing 30 to yourself. But it could be pretty cool, like to disrupt your opponent. This Toxapex is interesting. You can do 120 more if your opponent's active is poisoned, which is pretty interesting for GLC if you want to use like a Hypnotoxic Laser or something. Here's the Morpeko, part of that little Pika, Dedenne, Togedemaru combo. You can do 60 to everything if your Dedenne used Dedenne short during last turn. And then this Metagross, nothing crazy. You can use it in GLC. If it is on the top of your deck and you draw it, put it onto your bench, draw 3, and you can do Meteor Mash for 100 and 100 more. I'm kind of like going through these cards quickly because a lot of them sum up to they're cool, but they're not going to be played. Jirachi could see play in the future. It has the Pass a Wish attack. If it's knocked out by damage from your opponent's attack, search your deck for 3 cards and put them into your hand. So it could be pretty powerful. Like, it really could be if you need to pull off a specific combo and your Pokemon gets knocked out. Could be pretty interesting. Stellar Doom, flip 2 coins if both are heads knocked out. Kind of funny. I could see a meme deck coming out of this. Now, this Kling Klang is great for GLC. You need to keep this in mind. It has triple gear. When you evolve it, search your deck for 3 basic energy, attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. This card is actually really good. Like, this card is actually insane. So keep that in mind if you're building Metal GLC. Very, very cool card. This Cobalion could be okay. It'll be played in that Swords of Justice deck, maybe. But it has Code of Justice, which lets you do 30 more to active Dark-type Pokemon. But Dark-type Pokemon aren't too prevalent in the meta right now. So if it was 30 more to all Pokemon V, that would make things a little bit more interesting. Like, that would make this deck actually functionable, because you can, or Rulebox Pokemon, for example, because you can do 30 more with a choice belt that's 60 more, and that puts a lot of your attacks up a lot more in damage. So I can see this deck like being niche. Here's the Togedemaru. That is the first piece to that combo, but you have to use Togedash, and then you can flip a coin. If heads, this Pokemon is knocked out, your opponent can't take any prizes. So, I mean, it could be decent. Like, it could be okay, and yeah, it's not going to be fantastic or anything, but it could be fine. Special Laser on the Magearna V. Interesting. I mean, you do 220 if you have a special energy. Nothing crazy, but it's a good Kyurem killer, if I do say so. Now, this line, this Dragonite, is really good in Regidrago. It's basically like a Trinity Nova, because you can do 180, search your deck for 3 basic energy cards, and attach them to your Pokemon. Pretty neat. This Noivern, also kind of cool. You could play this in Regidrago too, actually, because it literally just reads, choose one of your opponent's Radiant Pokemon, and it's knocked out. So if your opponent's like playing, I don't know, they're trying to stall you out or whatever, you can just put this Noivern down. Boom. See you later, Radiant Pokemon. Like, goodbye Greninja, goodbye Gardevoir, goodbye whatever, goodbye Charizard. So it could be pretty cool in Regidrago, but don't know if it'll be worth playing. And speaking of Regidrago, this is like my favorite card in the set. I think that this is really, really cool. Regidrago V, nothing to write home about, but V-Star. Now, V-Star's a different story. Regidrago V-Star has Dragon Dream. For 2 grass and a fire, you can use the attack from any Dragon-type Pokemon in your discard. So, you know, Duraludon VMAX, Hisuian Goodra V-Star, Giratina V-Star, use any of their attacks for this attack cost. And the Legacy Star V-Star power lets you discard the top 7 cards of your deck and keep 2 cards, any 2 cards, from your discard pile. So I think Regidrago has the potential to be pretty decent. Smeargle, not good. And now Lugia, the poster child of the set, the card everybody's hyped for. Looking at this card by itself, it doesn't look very good. But with Assemble Star, I don't have to talk about Lugia too much, because a lot of people probably already know what it does. But Assemble Star, you can get 2 colorless Pokemon from your discard pile, put them onto your bench. Storm Dive, 220 for 4, and you can discard a Stadium in play. You might think that's not enough, but combine that with our good pal Archeops that's down here, and you can get special energy onto your Lugia, like powerful colorless, and do a bunch of damage. That's how Lugia goes. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but could be pretty decent. And by pretty decent, I mean it could be pretty good. Like, Lugia is probably going to be an A tier deck, or like a top tier deck for sure. Ho-Oh-V, I'm super excited for, because of the Rebirth Flames. You can put the card onto your bench, attach 4 basic energy from it onto that Pokemon. If you use that ability, your turn ends. So it could be good in Darkrai, and it could be good to do Thornton shenanigans, because you can do this, Thornton something else into play, and then boom. Insane amount of damage next turn. I'm thinking of playing it with Dialga. I'm thinking of playing it in Darkrai. There could be, like, with Radiant Pokemon, not Radiant Pokemon, Amazing Rare Pokemon could be pretty good. So it could be decent in a couple decks. So Ho-Oh is going to be interesting for sure. Spinda is pretty cool. It could be cool in normal GLC, because it does 10 to each of your opponent's Pokemon, and then your opponent's active is confused, so that could be interesting. This Altaria could also be really interesting in Standard and GLC. Magical Echo says move all damage counters from one of your bench Pokemon to your opponent's active Pokemon. So if something gets hit, you switch it, move all the damage counters. Like, this could actually be good in Lugia as well, for a single attachment. Like, you can even throw a double turbo on it, because it's not doing damage, it's moving damage, so the damage reduction doesn't matter. So if somebody swings into your Lugia and it has like 260 damage on it, 200 damage on it, move it all to your opponent's active. Like, switch, move it all, you know? So it could be pretty interesting. Nothing else to write home about here. Hisuian Braviary, like could be decent in normal GLC as well. I mean, with 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon that has damage counters on it. You could try and do a normal spread. Like deck, but it won't be very good. Could be pretty interesting though. And then there's a Fletchling. Brandon is OG colorless, but worse. It's just search your deck. Not search your deck. You can only use this card if it's the last card in your hand, and you can draw a card for each bench Pokemon in play. Not good. Not really good. Colorless is good because you can use it whenever, and you shuffle draw. Brandon, not good. Candace, pretty cool. People don't like this card because Irida's just better, which I would agree, but I think that it's actually pretty decent. You can look at the top 7 cards, reveal any number of water Pokemon and energy, put them into your hand. Could be a nice one-of in like Kyurem and stuff when you're looking to get more of something. Capture Aroma, I think this card will be very good when Quick Ball rotates, and Evo Incense, because it acts as both on a coin flip, so you at least get something every time, but you don't know what you're going to get. So could be interesting, Capture Aroma. If you get heads, you get an evolution. You get tails, you get a basic. That kind of thing. So pretty interesting. Now these V-Star item cards. This one's not very good. The Earth and Seal Stone. You can use Star Gravity, which puts all your opponent's Pokemon to 100 HP remaining. Your opponent's Pokemon V. So it could be decent, but it'll be more like a gimmick deck. So you play that, and then you play Lunala from Celebrations and try and win the game in 2 turns or 3 turns, whatever. That's your game plan with this kind of deck. So it'll be funny. I'll make a video using it. Emergency Jelly, not very good. 4 Sealstone, I'm gonna say this right now, this is the best card in the set. I think this card is better than Lugia because you can put it on any Pokemon V and you get half Star Birth for free. And I say for free because it's quite literally for free, because this card is not blocked by Path of the Peak. It says the Pokemon V this card is attached to can use this V-Star power. Path of the Peak reads your Pokemon V, or your Rulebox Pokemon, have no abilities. So this is technically not an ability on the Pokemon, it's an ability the Pokemon can use. That's why wording is really important. So this is going to be very, very good in Mew, it'd be very good in Pickleful, Regieleki, very good in a lot of things. Now the rest of these cards, not great. Lance is pretty interesting for Regidrago and Dragon GLC. You can search for 3 Dragon Pokemon, put them into your hand. Yeah, could be good for sure. I don't know. I don't know what else to say about it. Leafy Camo Poncho could be very good. It depends on the meta. This is very meta dependent. You can put it on your V-Star or V-Max, and those Pokemon can't get bossed up, basically. So my thinking to this card is that you play a bunch of these. You play Deoxys V-Max, which stops your opponent from, which prevents damage done to your opponent's Pokemon from V-Stars, and then you put something up in the active, and you just let these sit, on the bench, the Camo Poncho, let them sit on the bench. This card could be pretty good if we have support V-Stars and V-Maxes sticking around for a little bit longer. Primordial Altar, you can look at the top card of your deck and discard it. I think this could be good in Regidrago or Kyurem, but the thing is, just use Pokestop instead. It's kind of just a better option. Professor Laventon, not good. Quadstone, not good, but interesting. If you use all 4 Quadstone, you can heal all damage from each of your Pokemon, which is pretty cool. Serena is also one of the best cards in this set. It allows you to either discard up to 3 cards from your hand and then draw cards until you have 5, or switch your opponent's bench Pokemon V with their active, so it's either a boss's orders or a half kind of colorless experiment, where you can discard cards, draw cards kind of thing. Pretty good. The rest, not very good. Regenerative Energy, if you play it from your hand to attach to Pokemon V, heal 100. I mean, could be decent, but for a little bit, but it won't be good going forward. And then V-Guard is going to be good for now, and then won't be good going forward because your Pokemon take 30 less from Pokemon V, and that's about it. With EX Pokemon coming out, this card is not going to be good. And then we'll take a look at some of these full arts down here. This Unknown Altar I absolutely love. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful card. I do like this Hisuian Arcanine full art as well. It's kind of nice. A lot of the full arts are good. The Skunk Tank Altar is one of my favorites from the set. Really cool card. Regidrago's decent. The Regidrago alt art, I love it because he's just sitting there. He's just chilling out. Pretty cool. I actually pulled this from my pre-release. So I'm very happy that I got this card. Very nice looking card. The Lugia V alt art, we all know that this card's going to be like insanely expensive. And it's really cool looking. I also really like the look of Ho-Oh full art. This card is pretty cool too. And then we have some full art trainers and such. Serena full art's going to be a money card as well. And then we got a bunch of rainbows and gold cards. If you want to know what the gold cards are for this set, they are Superior, Lugia, and Energy Switch, Gapejaw Bog, Leafy Camo Poncho, and a V-Guard Energy. Those are our gold cards for the set. So, got quite a few to collect. Pretty cool. I like the way they look, especially the V-Guard Energy. I think looks pretty cool. Then we have some trainer gallery cards and such, as well as here are the pre-release promos. Now, that is going to be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed. Comment down below what do you think of the Silver Tempest set. Are you going to be opening it? Subscribe to the channel. I post 2 new Pokemon trading card game videos every single week on the Hitmonchan channel. So hit that notification bell so you never miss out. And with all that said and done, Hitmonchan out.